Base building is the most requested feature for They Come in Waves that I've had from viewers, members of my Discord, and your mom. So I decided to make it happen. The plan for base building is that you're going to have building recipes that you can find in the world by completing quests, destroying stronger enemies, or by just exploring. Once you've found a recipe, it will tell you what resources you need to find to create the building. Right now, I have a few ideas for buildings like spiky wooden poles and sentry turrets. For those that are new here, I'm making a zombie survival game called They Come in Waves. Please add it to your wishlist. Okay, let's do this. I created the concept of a buildable. A buildable is just a script that keeps track of a placeholder building and the actual building that will cause damage to the enemies or act as defense. The buildable also uses a trigger to check if the current building can be built. If it can, it sets a green transparent color on the object, and if not, it sets a red transparent color on the object. This way, the user should be able to tell what's going on. The last task of a buildable is to actually build the object. So it has a method called build, which will just cast a ray downward and spawn the building at the point where it hits the ground. Now, in my inventory system, I'll need to add a few things. Firstly, the recipe that you can find out in the world, which will just be an item pickup. The item pickup will have a linked crafting item definition, which defines what resources we will need to find to build the object, and it will have a linked output item. Usually, the output item would go into the player's inventory, like if you've crafted a new weapon, but in this case, I want to just get the reference to the linked buildable. I added a custom crafting recipe type to handle this, so we just have a reference to the buildable and we know what resources are required to build the item. Next, I need to create a UI that would let the player select which building they want to create. I settled on this UI setup, which has a list of things that we can build and the resources we need to build it. With most of the building blocks in place, I needed to create some abilities for the player. Firstly, I needed an ability to open the UI, which is a pretty simple one. The player will need to hold down the C key to open the building menu, and when they let go, the building menu will disappear. Next, I needed an ability that lets the player hold the buildable object. This ability starts as soon as the open UI ability starts, and it subscribes to an event that fires when the player selects a building. When the event fires, it gets a reference to the crafting recipe of the selected object, which we can then use to get the reference to the buildable that I spoke about earlier. Once we have the buildable, we can spawn it into the world and the player can walk around and decide where to place the object. The last thing I needed to do here was to create a build ability. So once the player has decided where to place the object, they can press the shoot input, and as long as the buildable decides that the player can place the object in this location and the crafter decides that the player has enough resources to build it, the object will be placed. The player can also right click if they want to cancel the build. And that, my friends, is my basic approach to base building. Keep an eye out for updates on more building types and the effect they have on the zombie AI. Please don't forget to wishlist They Come in Waves, and I'll catch you on the next one.